Hey everybody, welcome to another recap of The Mandalorian from Stolendroids. My name is Jake. We have with us Colin, the Jedi Master, Moff Tracy, and the Mandalorian. For the last time, guys, the last time of season 2, we are going to get together and talk about an episode. There are going to be huge epic spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, as much as we love you, please stop watching now and come back later when you have seen the episode.
Don't do it to
Yeah. Like there are some really great things that happen in this, huge things that happen, great as in huge, and you don't want them spoiled before you see the episode.
I saw one thing spoiled and I was not happy.
Who spoiled it for you?
The
person themselves.
Call them out right now.
Somebody posted an article about the post-credit scene and the headline was very spoilerish. And they posted it in their Facebook feed. And I'm like, that is a spoiler. And they go, well, I don't watch the show. Well, then why did you share the link?
Why are you sharing it?
What the heck?
Oh, my gosh.
I was like, what are you doing? But,
yeah,
that's okay. The big reveals were still secret. So that was good.
Yeah.
That is good. This was a hard one. I really posted, like the only thing I posted on social media, because I've been accused on this very show about being spoilery before. So the only thing I posted on social media this time is that I had seen the episode. That was it. Because I didn't know what else to say about it without spoiling something. Like, I feel like even when someone gets on and they're like, that last episode was just really satisfying. I don't want to spoil anything, but it was really satisfying. Well, like, nobody's going to say that if like Grogu had died. Like, right? So I'm like, okay, so Grogu's going to be safe. Like, if you haven't seen it, you're going to know that like there's some kind of happy ending, right? Because anyway.
Okay,
now, Jake,
but
this is the first time you watched it at 1 a.m., right?
No, not the first time. So I have this weird thing that happens to me on Thursday nights that have happened the last couple of weeks where I'll wake up at like 2 a.m, like just knowing that I want to watch it, and then I'll watch it and my wife makes fun of me. So unintentionally, I started a few weeks ago watching them super early in the morning. So
it gets insomnia for an hour every Thursday night.
That's right.
Okay, but
I literally did that my first couple times, and then it just destroyed me.
Oh my goodness. I can't do that. Definitely not. But I commend you guys. But no, I do have to throw Zahner under the bus a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yes,
we are always for that.
Because of what he said last night before we got off of our video chat, and he's like, no spoilers, but it's going to be an emotional episode. And so, of course, something sad is going to happen. And you're like, okay, who's going to die? Or who, like something. And I'm like, I was a little mad at Zahner after that.
Deservedly so.
And that's why I said the only thing I could post that I felt safe posting was I have seen the episode.
Yeah,
that's the post. That's the tweet. I've seen the episode. There were tweets from Mark Hamill yesterday that were just perfect because he's Mark Hamill, and I'm never going to call him out for spoiling anything because he's Mark Hamill and basically can do whatever he wants. But like when he was asking, have you seen anything good on TV lately? Like, I didn't even want to retweet that, even though I thought it was a brilliant, genius tweet, because I knew it was spoilery, and I felt like if people kept retweeting it, it was even more obviously.
Yeah, hey, Mark Hamill's probably in that episode.
Yeah. Which we need to get into what happened in the episode. We'll get into all of the spoilers and everything else. There's a lot to break down. This was just such a great episode. Mm-hmm. And just, it was a satisfying end to the season and maybe even to more. And I think we need to talk about that. So this, of course, we kind of had everything put into place last week, or started to get put into place. And this one starts with him doing exactly what we kind of predicted he would. And that's getting the other Mandalorians to come join him to go get Grogu back. And I thought that was really cool to have Katie Sackhoff back as Bo-Katan, and then Sasha Banks as her sidekick. I don't remember her name. Colin, what's her name?
I actually don't remember her name either. So it's fine.
I usually watch it with subtitles, so I'm trying to remember. Like, I know I saw her name. It was something.
Yeah. It's funny that because I remember it coming up in the subtitles too, like in the captions, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to remember that for the episode tomorrow when we record." And then I totally forgot it. So,
are you looking it up, Colin?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they go and get them, and of course he's enticing her because he says, "We're going to go find Moff Gideon. He's got the Dark Saber that you want. Let's go get it." And I had a little bit of hope. Tracy, last week you mentioned that you kind of thought that they wouldn't get Grogu back in this episode, that it would be next year before they got him back. I called you a monster at the time because I thought that would be just incredibly cool. But I also, from a storytelling perspective, I thought that also made sense, kind of build suspense for next season. You don't necessarily want to wrap everything up. But then I also forgot that this is now being run by Disney, where they do like to wrap everything up in a nice little package at the end of the story. And so when I saw that the episode was called The Rescue, I was like, it's not the rescue attempt. It just says the rescue. So I have hope. But
I really hope that we're not done with Moff, because Giancarlo Esposito is such an amazing actor. And watching this episode, I was like, this is so Gus Fring from Breaking Bad.
That's exactly what we were saying too when we were watching it. We're like, Gus?
Where he's like threatening you, but he's still charming. And
and very wordy, like he's a talker, very eloquent.
Yes. But he's such an interesting bad guy. I think ultimately we're going to see Thrawn. I think ultimately he's going to be the big bad. They're kind of building their own version of this Marvel universe, and he's going to kind of be the Thanos, I think, in the long run. But Moff is just a really interesting character to me. I'm interested to know more about him.
Yeah. And I agree. This was probably his best episode as Moff Gideon, because he's always been kind of menacing and in the background, but here we got to see a lot more interaction between him and Mando, and a little bit more of that villain exposition that you sometimes need from a really good villain, and he did it really, really well.
Knows what's going to happen before it happens, and
like when they just got that confidence that there's nothing you can do to stop them, so they'll tell you their plan. They don't care.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I believed him. When Mando went over to go pick up Grogu, you're like, okay. And then of course, like once he did start attacking him, like you weren't surprised. You're like, oh, okay, fine. But that fight scene though, that was really good between him, Moff and Mando.
As soon as I saw that staff on Mando's back, I was like,
it's going down.
He's just gonna let him go. Like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I thought that was really, and it. So we get a lot in that conversation between Mando and Bo-Katan at the beginning that really kind of foreshadows a lot of the other stuff that happens later in the episode. Because when she's talking about the Dark Saber, she's like, yeah, it can cut through anything. Well, almost anything except pure Beskar. I'm like, okay, so who's got pure Beskar? Mando in his armor, and he's got that staff. So we're going to see him versus the Dark Saber. And thankfully he's got pure Beskar, so he'll be safe. And then the other conversation that was interesting that we'll talk about, we'll round back to this later, but when she's talking to Boba Fett and she's like, you're not a Mandalorian. And he's like, I never said I was. And she obviously has a lot of disdain for him because she knows he's a clone and she doesn't like clone troopers. And I'm sure this goes back to Clone Wars, and I'm still trying to get my way through all of them. So there's some
trying to gear myself up to even start.
Yeah.
Same here.
There are some really good episodes that I've seen. There are some really, really neat episodes. But yeah, I get what you're saying. So
there's just a lot. There's a lot. It's a
lot.
It's a lot it's a commitment.
Yeah.
It is. That's exactly what it is. But anyway, so that conversation I think is important because we'll talk about something that happens at the very end of the episode and why I think that conversation is important. But I like that because it does set up, okay, we are going to see him fight Moff Gideon with the Beskar staff and his armor. and it didn't disappoint. Even knowing that was probably going to come from that conversation, it was like I was anticipating it more than I was like, oh, that's too bad. Now I know what's going to happen. I'm like, great, this is going to be so cool when it goes down.
Yeah.
So
well, I love the fact that Peyton Reed directed this episode, which I thought it was going to be Jon Favreau. He directed the season finale last year. I thought he was going to do it this year, but it's funny because he also directed the episode that most people liked the least this year, which was the spider episode, which I enjoyed. I thought the spider episode was
I actually really liked that episode too.
I did too. And he's the director of Ant-Man, Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's doing, they just announced a new Ant-Man 3.
Quantum Mania.
So does he have a bug fetish?
Sounds like it. But
no shame. Not king shaming or anything.
Because this is probably the most liked and least liked episode of the seasons, and he did both of them.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I thought he did a great job. And I think that's interesting that Jon Favreau stepped back and let him do it. I think that as the showrunner, one thing that he's done a really good job of is getting the right directors telling the right stories. And I think he probably took a step back and said, this one's got to be Peyton. I think he's going to do a better job with it. Yeah. I think Peyton Reed's going to do a better job with it than I would. And that's the sign of someone who understands what they're doing and someone who's a good leader to say, you know, I could do it myself, but this is someone who's going to do a better job. So I'm going to step back and let them do it. And maybe I'm romanticizing it a little bit, but I feel like it worked out well. So, the Dark Troopers, what's that? So the Dark Troopers. Okay. The Dark Troopers I thought were interesting because when he comes up on them and they're powering up and he quickly shuts the door and one of them gets out and beats the crap out of them. And then the others are trying to break out. And then he ends up killing the one Dark Trooper and then sending the rest of them out to space. I was like, that can't be all. Like, there's no way they're going to build up the Dark Troopers as these big menacing things. And then he just sucks them out into space. And like, that's it. That would have probably been the worst throwaway of Star Wars characters since Captain Phasma. Yeah. Which like was just about as bad.
Which I will say, I'm still surprised that he took it down that quick.
Kitty.
Oh, Tracy's kitty. I'm like, what's going on? The
kitty. Yeah. Well, and I had an interesting thought about the Dark Troopers. Dark Troopers. Because it obviously, like, Mandalorian got his butt kicked against one of them. And like he was still able to take him down and everything. And then like there was that little bit of sigh of relief when you see all of them, you know, go out into space. But then as soon as you like see them like come back and then there's like more that are coming out or something.
Yeah, which I didn't understand where the more came from, but
or maybe that was all of the I don't know. But anyways, but seeing them come back, you're like, oh no, like if he can like barely face against one, how are they going? Like, you know, you're just the whole time. And then I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit and we can talk more about this too. But like, then when our Jedi shows up and just slaughters them all with just a quick little with his lightsaber, like, I think that shows how like how powerful Jedi and lightsabers truly are. You know, not to say that Mandalorian can't fight and he can't hold his own, but like it just shows that much more like how awesome and how like Jedi are very, very powerful.
Yeah, the Jedi are definitely elite.
Yeah,
for sure. But what is it? I got to ask you guys, what is it with the Skywalker boys and fighting in hallways?
There's a lot of hallways on ships, I guess.
But like, I was like, it totally made me think of Rogue One. And I actually saw a clip today where somebody took clips from Rogue One and cut it with this episode of The Mandalorian. And it was like father, like son. And a lot of their fighting style is very similar too.
Yeah. So when they're on the bridge, because we're there, and so we're already talking about it. So we'll just talk about it. When they're on the bridge and they're pounding that door, like the amount of tension that was built up in that scene, because you've got the Dark Troopers just pounding the door and you've got Moff Gideon sitting on the floor talking about, like, we all know how this is going to play out. They're going to get through that door. You guys are going to put up a valiant effort, but you're going to lose. Like, you could barely handle one of those. You know you're not going to be able to beat all of them. You're thinking, yeah, that's exactly right. And then all of a sudden the alarm starts beeping. And you're like, okay, here comes the Jedi. And when they're like, it's a single X-Wing fighter, I was like, okay, but it can't be. Like, did Ezra pick up an X-Wing somewhere? Like, who is coming in this X-Wing? I'm like, they're throwing us off because there's no way it's going to be Luke. There's just no way it's going to be Luke.
No way.
And I've been saying that from the time that he was on Tython. I'm like, it's not going to be Luke. It's not going to be Luke. And then Dave Filoni basically gave me the middle finger and said, and Jon Favreau, and they said, haha, joke's on you, King Jakathy. And I was humbled. Because then he steps out and you see him from the back and I'm like, that's totally Luke. That's his black cloak. That's it. And then the lightsaber lights up green.
And the glove.
And then the glove. Like, they did it so well because they told you like 5 times that it was Luke before he pulled the hood back. Like, you knew it was him if you were a big Star Wars fan, from the X-Wing, from the dark cloak, from the lightsaber that was green because Cal and Ezra both have blue lightsabers. And then, like you said, the one gloved hand. Like, it was just so masterfully done.
Well, and you're sitting there as he's going up the elevator, right? And you're sitting there wondering to yourself, well, who did they get to play him?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, you got Sebastian Stan.
Like
Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, the Sebastian Stan rumors. Which, honestly, like, some pieces of when he's just showing, like, this part of his face, it looks very Sebastian Stan to me.
Mm-hmm.
Very much. Yeah.
Same jawline. Yeah.
So I was like, maybe, but... And then the reveal, and I'm just like, Return of the Jedi, Luke is here, everybody.
And I did tear up a little bit. Even though, like, I knew at that point that it was him. Still, when the doors open, he's standing in the smoke-filled room, and the lightsaber is glowing, and then he walks in and he takes the hood off. Like, I did start tearing up. I was like, this is so awesome. Like, it's just, I didn't think it would be Luke, and then it was, and it was totally worth the payoff to get to that point. And I loved when Mando asked him, "Are you a Jedi?" And I just wanted him to say, "I am, like my father before me." But no, he didn't.
Totally.
Because that would have been really lame and out of context. But I still would have really liked that a lot.
Hey, here's what I wanted, Jake. When Luke is leaving and he says, "May the Force be with you," I wanted Mando to say, "This is the way."
Oh, that would have been cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Cool.
But no, he was too busy crying.
Oh,
Leaving him.
Pedro Pascal.
So sad.
Yeah,
that connection though.
Yeah.
Like that whole sequence when Grogu is just reaching up to his helmet and, like, you know, he just wants to connect with him on one last deeper level, and he just I thought he was just gonna lift up his helmet just a little bit, but he just takes it all completely.
No hesitation either.
Yeah.
It's just like, whoop.
Yeah. It's true, and that was so touching, and it was just really well done. And I love when Luke tells him, you know, when he's reaching out for him, and he's like, "Yeah, he doesn't want to go with you," and Luke's like, "He's waiting for you to give him permission." I was like, "Oh man, you're gonna make him let go? You're gonna make Mando be the one that has to let go?" Oh.
Right in the feels. Right.
Like, that was so hard.
Oh my gosh.
But it was still just so well done that, as hard as it was like, that was just perfect. It was great.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's those things of that version of Luke Skywalker that I just love, because Luke is just so well connected with the Force that it's not like Ahsoka, where Ahsoka is like really channeling and trying to meditate to speak to Grogu. You know, Luke just knows.
Yeah,
exactly what's happening, what's going on around him. He's so he just holds himself so well.
See, now you said something that made my nerd rage just rise a little bit when you said this version of Luke. What other version of Luke is there? There's only one Luke. There is one Luke from the beginning of A New Hope till the end of The Last Jedi. It is one Luke. He's the same character from start to finish.
But he's growing, right? He's growing through all these phases. And so that if you would prefer that I say era,
that's fine.
That era of Luke.
I only say that because that's been the big discussion on Twitter, right? Is, oh, wow, in like 10 minutes, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni showed us how to use the Luke character way better than Rian Johnson. No, it's the same character. It's a journey that he's making. And you're right. I love the Luke at this point. And honestly, I would love to see books of Luke training Grogu and putting together the Jedi Order and like what he's going through. Like this is a phase of Luke Skywalker that I think we all want to see. Like he is now a Jedi Master after the events of the Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Jedi Master Luke on adventures. And we got to see a little bit of that today. Like everybody always talks about Darth Vader being so menacing and everything. I never felt that in the original series, but original trilogy. But when I saw Rogue One, I was like, oh, that is Darth Vader being menacing and scary. I feel the same way with what we saw with Luke in this. That is Jedi Master Luke, which we haven't gotten to see a whole lot of on the screen at all, and it was beautiful.
Remember in I think it was Star Wars Battlefront 2. There's one of the sequences in the campaign where you briefly get to play as Luke Skywalker, and he's going around and looking for these leftovers.
Oh yeah,
bronze. And just those moments that you get to play him is just, it just brings so many feels, and like, I just love that character so much, and I always want more.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we got a good dose of Luke in this, and it was just awesome to see.
So I totally agree that it was really awesome. Just like all of everything leading up to that, when he first arrives and then he goes through all the dark troopers and then, shows up. But I don't know if I was totally impressed with the CGI, and I know I might be in the minority here, but
I don't know that you're in the minority.
It's that uncanny valley.
Yeah,
to me, it was better than what they did with Moff Tarkin. In Rogue One, I felt like they've done better, but it's just a little weird, which is why I thought they would recast the character instead of de-aging. But
that's almost
deep fakes that were better.
Yeah,
there's a lot of just deep fake videos that I don't know. It's weird.
It didn't bother me on this one.
It still bugged me in certain things because he's moving his face and there's sections of his head that aren't moving right with his hair, and I'm just like, it's kind of weird.
Well, and I think it's great that that they did this, but I almost wish they would have just chosen a different actor that looks similar to him.
I don't know.
Like Sebastian Stan, maybe, or somebody, you know what I mean? Maybe there's some other just not super well-known actor out there that looks like young Mark Hamill. But then that begs the question.
Mark Hamill.
Huh?
I think I look like Mark Hamill. I'll do it.
Yeah, I think you can pull it off. But
Absolutely.
What does that mean for future shows though? So if we really do get to see Luke training Grogu, or maybe in I don't know if that's going to be a separate show or if it's going to be part of, I'm hoping we have a Mandalorian season 3, but what does that mean? Are they just going to keep CGIing Mark Hamill? I feel they need to get someone I think it needs to be a little more permanent if they're going to do that, in my opinion.
I think they're going to drop Luke in. They're going to use him like a seasoning. He's not going to be a major part of this story because it is the Mandalorian. But I do think, especially with him with Grogu, I do feel like he'll pop in every once in a while.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's really hard to do much with Grogu's character right now, right?
Right.
Because he's still a little guy. It's going to take him 100, 200 years to get to the point where he's a big kid.
Listen, Yoda was a Jedi Master by the time he was 100. Okay, Grogu's got 50 years to get his crap together.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what happens in 50 years? Luke's dead.
Well, and I think this is going to lead to a lot of questions about, so where is Grogu during the events of The Force Awakens,
right?
The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, and the events prior to that? Did he perish at the temple with the attack that Ben Solo did, where he took down the Jedi Temple and the Jedi Order?
Dude,
or is he out there somewhere?
Marley's just picturing Kylo Ren just tearing it down and squashing
Kylo. No.
If Adam Driver becomes the character that kills Han Solo and Grogu, he's going to be the most hated man in Hollywood.
Oh,
yeah.
I hate love Kylo Ren though, so that is so conflicting to me right now.
But if anybody could tell that story and figure out why, I think it's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Like, they've done that with Rebels, they did that with Mando. I mean, like, they're just like, oh, and then this happened, which takes the player off the board for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they have a plan for it, but I am curious to see what
I'm sure they do, and I hope they do, because otherwise they're making a really bold move without having a plan, because it does. Go ahead.
Here's an idea. Sorry.
No.
It's gonna be what I could see them doing is, because obviously we haven't seen our Mandalorian in any of those things. So what if he gets trained enough that he by Luke, and then he meets back up with Mandalorian and they go off on adventures together. And that's why we don't see them in the episode 7, 8, 9. You know what I mean? Yep. They're off doing their own thing.
Yeah.
It could be that he doesn't overcome that attachment that he has to Mando, and he does end up leaving his Jedi training and comes back. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios that could play out.
He's going to pull a Luke. He's going to pull a Luke. He's going to leave his training early to go help his friends that are in trouble and finish it up later.
Yeah.
It's like dropping out of college to go take care of some stuff at home and then coming back and getting your degree years later.
Except that your college gets burned to the ground and you can't go back to school.
And all of your classmates died.
Like, he leaves to go help Mando take Mandalore with the Dark Saber, and then when he comes back, Ben Solo has happened, and Luke is missing, and
then
the
Grogu
Academy's
goes
gone.
into exile.
Yeah.
Or Grogu's just like, well, I tried. Come on, Mando.
He's like, oh, well, I hear Dagobah's nice this time of year, so he heads out there and happens to find a little hut that's just his size. It's perfect.
If that was all season 3, I'd be fine with all of this.
Yeah. So,
Tracy said something.
Speaking of huts,
and he disappeared.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's get to the post-credits scene, because this is the first time we've had a post-credits scene. I thought it was interesting. So my son watched it yesterday, and when I watched it, I watched through the credits because they were so different from the credits that we had seen before, because it wasn't the artwork. And I was like, why is this different? They're trying to, something's happening. This is different. And then it went to the post credit scene, and I was like, okay, this is why it was different. And I also looked at how much time was left. I'm like, there's still a lot of time left on this video. Like, what's going on? It just felt weird.
Worked on this series, but yeah.
And my son came in and he said, did you wait until after the credits? Because I hadn't told him there was anything after the credits. And I said, yeah, I waited. And I said, did you wait? He said, yeah. I said, how did you know to wait? He's like, because they were different than the other credits. So I thought that was weird. And I was like, oh, hey! So I wonder if but I also know that everybody also posted on everything, you got to wait until after the credits.
Yeah.
And then my favorite is that they would leave it with the hashtag, the Book of Boba Fett. I'm like, I like that you try not to be spoilery, and then you make it spoilery, and you're. But let's talk about this. Boba Fett is taking over the Hutt crime family.
I love
crime empire.
I am so excited for this,
and I think that's really good. Which is what I thought the Mandalorian series was going to be from the beginning, is something similar to this, and so we're getting that in some form or fashion. We're getting the Book of Boba Fett, and this is where all the questions have come up. Marley, you've been hinting at it when you said if we even get a Mandalorian season 3. Disney at Investor Day a couple weeks ago announced that we're getting a Mandalorian season 3, but it's coming out Christmas of next year instead of November of next year.
So
then we get the Book of Boba Fett here at the end, and it says it's coming out December of 2021,
Yeah.
which matches up with Christmas of next year. And so people are saying, so does that mean we've wrapped up the story of Din Djarin here? Does that mean we're moving into the Book of Boba Fett for Mandalorian season 3? Tracy's shaking his head and saying no.
I don't. So I don't know if they're going to do double episodes. I hope they do. I hope this is a separate. And it's interesting. I went online, and Deadline, which is usually really, really accurate, is reporting that it's a new series. That the Book of Boba Fett will be its own thing, and will also get Mando season 3. Because on Investor Day they talked about how Mando, Knights of the New Republic, and Ahsoka are all going to overlap each other. They're running in parallel. They're going to overlap each other, and then it's going to lead to a big event culminating. And Disney right now, their stock is super high, even with the parks closed for the most part. They're not going to not milk this cash cow for as long as they can.
Yeah.
So we've got to deal with the Dark Saber and Bo-Katan, because she's going to want to take on Mando for that. We've got the whole issue with Mandalore. So there's a lot that they still need to do with the Mandalorian. But I'm old enough that I read a bunch of the pre-canon, or what used to be canon, books. And there was a great series of short stories set in the underworld of people that worked for Jabba the Hutt. And there was a Boba Fett story in there, and it was great. And so I love the fact that he was noble enough, because one of my friends said, well, I really like him. I don't want to be mad at him now. I'm like, he was never a hero. He was there to get his armor back. He helped because he made a promise. It was a commitment that he made to Mando to help save the child. And once the child was safe, he's going to go do his own thing.
So, Tracy, would you say he's nobody's hero?
Very nice Rush reference.
Thank you.
Well
that was just
done.
for you, Tracy. Just for you.
Major props.
I agree. I think it's going to be something separate from Mandalorian season 3, and I think I was talking with Colin about this in our in a chat earlier. I think the answer is actually in this episode when we talked about the conversation that he had with Bo-Katan, and she basically said right out, "You're not a Mandalorian," and he said, "I never said I was." So you can't make season 3 the Mandalorian about somebody who's not even a Mandalorian, and so I think we'll see season 3 start to take Mando in the direction of the Dark Saber, Mandalore, what's all going to happen there, because now that he has beaten Moff Gideon in combat and has taken the Dark Saber, Bo-Katan has to beat him in combat in order to get the Dark Saber, or else they traditionally believe it doesn't have its power. Or he just becomes the king of Mandalore, which is fine too. So, but I think that's probably where season 3 is going to take us. And so it's probably going to be a lot less Grogu, and a little bit more into what a Mandalorian is, what Mandalore is, and delve a little bit deeper in there. But
and
we'll
let's
see.
be honest, some of these episodes were starting to get a little formulaic. They fly to a planet, Grogu gets in trouble, Mando rescues him, they fly to another planet. Grogu gets in trouble, Mando has to rescue him, and I like removing that from that piece off the chessboard for a little while, because it's going to be interesting to see what they do without that.
Change the feel.
Yeah.
Was I the only one that did not, or that really enjoyed Bib Fortuna being a big fat lard? And then
that was awesome.
Love that. Dude,
in.
the Star Wars and Marvel universe is bringing back the dad bod, and I'm here for it. We got fat Thor, we got fat Boba Fett, we got fat Bib Fortuna.
I just didn't expect him to take over the Hutt Empire, you know?
Well, I didn't think he would do it so easily, that he just like walks in and they shoot everybody in the room, and then he's just sitting on the throne, and I'm like, well, I guess he's in charge now.
Yeah.
That's it. He's in charge now.
I want to see more Fennec, though.
I am too. Yeah. I'm glad that Fennec's going to be around, and he
kicks serious butt this episode. And
that's the sharpshooter
about that actress so much because in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., she kicked so much butt and like flying all over the place, laying these hits and kicks, and like it was so good.
They hinted that we're going to get some of her backstory in the Bad Batch. There's a character that looks suspiciously like her in that, so that'll be interesting.
She's confirmed it. She's confirmed it on Twitter that that's her and that she is getting more backstory.
Nice.
That we're getting more backstory in the Bad Batch. And obviously we're going to get her continuing story with the Book of Boba Fett. I just want like that end picture where he's sitting on the throne and she's just sitting there with the drink. Like I want that picture framed in my house somewhere because it was just so well done. Like it was just a perfect little snapshot. Like
no dialogue,
nothing. You just have that picture. It was just great. I'm glad that we're going to see more Boba Fett. I like his character. I think this could be really interesting. I don't know if it'll be a mini series, if it'll be an ongoing series, what it's going to be. And there is still the possibility that they pull a switch on us and it is The Mandalorian season 3. And now we're starting this new chapter of Boba Fett. But I really don't think it is because I think there's still a lot more of the Din Djarin story to be told.
Yeah. And I don't think he's such a popular character and he's really, this show is what really caused Disney Plus to skyrocket. Like it would have done fine by itself, but this took it to a level that even Disney wasn't expecting. So I don't think that they would go an entire year or 2 years without this character in there.
What's really going to bug me is if they don't pick the season up exactly where it left off, right? Because I'm still curious, like, is he going to turn around and look at everyone else and still have the helmet off? Or is he going to grab the helmet, put it on, and then turn around?
That's a good point.
And then
at this point, is he just throwing away the religion, knowing that it was an offshoot, it's not true like Mandalorian culture?
Well, and the other question is, I think the other reason we need to pick it up where it leaves off, aside from the helmet bit, is what is Bo-Katan going to do now, and how is she going to react to him having the Dark Saber? Because before that was resolved, the Dark Troopers showed up and to deal with that, and Luke showed up and to deal with that, and that was it. Yeah. How do they get off the ship? Is she just going to let him walk away? What's going to happen? Or does she get him to join the cause? Because we know Fennec and Boba Fett got back together and went to Tatooine, but we don't know what Din Djarin did and what the other Mandalorians did.
No, but he doesn't even want the...
He doesn't know. But let's talk about the Dark Saber for a second here. So
okay, let's talk about it.
So Moff Gideon and him are dueling, and Mando disarms Moff Gideon, right? As soon as you disarm someone that's holding the Dark Saber is yours. Either by disarming or by killing. And so Moff Gideon, I think he wanted that to happen. You know, he's already got the blood, right? Or at least we think he does. He's accomplished what he needs to, but now he wants to set in course some other actions, right? He's a planner. He knows things that are going to occur before they happen, just like he said in the episode. And so when we get to the bridge, and he's just like, she can't take it. It's not the Mandalore way. It's not the Mandalore way. Like it's.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't think it was planned out, but I think he's taken advantage of that moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know. It'll be interesting because, I mean, he's Mandalore right now. The Dark Saber's back in Mandalorian hands. Technically, he's Mandalore, and the question is he going to own it and decide what happens with Mandalorians going forward, and everyone has to, bow down to him? Basically, it's just Mandalorian culture. Once you have that saber, everyone respects you.
So want to duel you. So do they even have like a planet to go back to though? Because just the way that they made it sound was like, was Mandalore destroyed then, or just more like leveled? You know what I mean?
So Mandalore was destroyed.
The whole planet.
Whole planet. the Jedi, I think it was, completely destroyed the planet, and that was with Revan, I believe, during that timeline, and so planet's gone, demolished, and they've set up on other worlds across the way with different clans.
Okay.
But during the Clone Wars, they had a planet though, and a moon, and that's after Darth Revan.
Right, what planet was that?
I kind of got the feeling that it was like leveled. They say it was turned to glass. I got the feeling like the planet itself wasn't destroyed, but stuff on it was wiped out.
Yeah, that's kind of the Purge, and we don't know what the Purge is because we didn't really hear about the Purge until the Mandalorian series, and so we know that the Empire purged the Mandalorians and took all their Beskar, demolished the civilization in some way, and so it sounds to me like they are scattered right now, and Bo-Katan is one of the people that would like to get them back together, reunited, and kind of a new a united people again. And so it will be interesting to see if he jumps on with that same idea and helps her, if they become rivals. It'll be interesting to see.
Well, they already weren't super friendly with each other.
Well, no, because he's part of Children of the Watch, which is this extreme, Death Watch cult-like group. And in the Clone Wars series, from what I have seen, they're very militant, and that's and she used to be part of that, and they're very militant and very much about the old ways and things like that. Whereas more of the Mandalorian culture, they had started to become more pacifist. They started to become more peaceful. And these guys wanted to bring back the old ways. And so she doesn't respect him because she used to be part of that and isn't. Anyway, I'm excited because I think we're going to learn a lot more about Mandalorian culture in the Mandalorian going forward. Now that, I hate to call Grogu a distraction, but now that distraction is taken off of the board and we're not focused on getting him back with the Jedi, we can focus on what's Mando's place in the Mandalorian culture and start learning more about that. And I think that to me, that should be interesting. So
especially where there's been so many little pieces here and there from seasons 1 and 2 that have given us a little bit of that. And so, yeah, it definitely would be cool to have more, to actually get more of that and understand. Cause I know we talked about this on a previous episode, but even just the fact about Mandalorian always wearing his helmet, because a lot of people who'd seen Clone Wars and everything, they're like, those Mandalorians take their helmets off, and just kind of being confused by this show and everything. So it would be interesting to kind of see the different groups of Mandalorians and kind of maybe what happened to make it so that some are more strict than others. So I don't know.
I think that would be very interesting.
So in Clone Wars, they were on Concordia, of the moon, which eventually was overthrown and apparently taken over by the Galactic Empire. So there's no new information on where they could be residing now. But Mandalore does exist, but it was basically completely gassed in. It's basically just a complete desolation now.
So the actual planet is still there. It's just there's nothing
inhabitable,
living on
nothing there. Very toxic. You would die if you stepped foot on it, basically.
Okay. Huh.
So it'll be interesting to see where it goes then going forward and how it will build out these other series that are coming up and how they'll build off of what the Mandalorian has done. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But let's talk about this episode. Let's wrap it up. What would you guys rate this out of 5 Mando helmets?
Well, I'm going to give it 5 Mando helmets and 5 green lightsabers.
You can't just make your own ranking system, but okay, whatever.
that case, I'll go 5 Mando helmets and 1 Force crushed Super Dark Trooper.
Oh, that was
awesome.
cool.
I was like, oh,
like a
man.
soda can. He's like, what about
kind
you,
of
Marley?
collapsing it on itself.
I'd also give it 5, but I have one tiny caveat, and that is, like, even though it was really awesome that Luke Skywalker was the Jedi that showed up, I was honestly hoping for a different Jedi, just because Skywalker thing, like, it's awesome, don't get me wrong, but like it just would have been nice to get to know a new Jedi. And maybe that's what Ahsoka's show is going to be all about. You know, we get to know another Jedi, but I don't know. I guess I was just hoping for something else, but it was still awesome.
It's okay, because We Got You Covered says that in season 4 we're getting
Don't you dare.
Skywalker.
Just stop. Just stop. No, listen. It's not allowed. It's not allowed to even talk about that
button,
site.
don't we?
Yeah, I should have dropped him from the stream.
Don't even click on it. It's clickbait. That's all the website is. We Got You Covered. Clickbait. Don't go to it.
I see so many people post from there, and it's like, oh my gosh, no.
Just listen to our podcast, and you'll be fine.
There you go. There you go.
I would also give this 5 Mando helmets, and I'm going to do it for opposite reasons of what Marley just said. I was glad that it was Luke, and I thought it was really cool that it was Luke. I think it would be neat to see a different Jedi as well. I really think it would have been cool to see Ezra and have that be more part of the story going forward. But I do think that this does a lot to take Grogu kind of out of the picture for a little bit and develop a different story and take it in a different direction. And it was just really cool to see Luke. So I'm going to give it 5 out of 5. But we want to know what you guys think, what you as our viewers think of this. We are done with Mandalorian, so we're not going to have the weekly recaps anymore until January when WandaVision drops. And then we're going to pick it back up with WandaVision, and we'll start doing this at that point as well. So we are not going to stop doing these. It's been fun to get on here live and recap stuff, and honestly it's just an outlet for us because we can't talk about it on social media without people getting mad at us, so we're going to do it here. So anyway,
we're talking about it on social media because we're live,
but we have spoiler alerts all over the banners, so it's okay.
Spoilers.
But Jake, excuse me, Colin, sometime before the end of the year, are you going to paint that spot, or is this going to go?
I don't know. I think it's going to go through 2021. You know, it's near and dear to my heart. I actually have a super sick Mandalorian poster that I might lean up there now.
Don't put that. Don't hang it up right there.
Like it's a really
part. Let's see. I could spend 5 minutes and paint that. Or I could just put a poster right in front of it and ignore it.
You see, if I did that, then I'd have to paint up there, and
no, because we don't see that.
A lot of painting.
Yeah, we don't
see that.
I don't know.
Well, then there's 2 reasons you'll want to join us in January. One is to hear about what we thought about WandaVision, and the second is to see if Colin has painted any more of his walls.
Did he paint?
And if there's just the Mandalorian poster hanging up against it, like just leaning against it, I'm going to be so angry at you. Like, it won't even be funny.
What I should do is I should paint it, and then I should just put the poster there anyway.
So make sure you are following us on Facebook, that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel so you get alerts when we do go live, so you can be here for those recaps. And share us with your friends so that they can also partake and have fun. And listen to our conversations as well. The Stolendroids podcast comes back in January as well. And Movies That Make Us is still going strong. We've got a new episode coming out on Monday, so you don't want to miss that. And Cutscenes and Cupcakes, when do you guys come back, Marley?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Probably at this point. No, you're okay. Probably at this point, it'll be closer to February. I don't think we're quite ready for January, to be honest. But we did just come out with a bonus episode.
That's right. Video Game Awards.
The Game Awards 2020.
The Game Awards. Thank you. Okay, I got it right when I put the thumbnail together, at least, and it said the Game Awards 2020. But
it's a big deal, Jake. It's like the Oscars of video games.
I'll be honest, this year it's probably a bigger deal than the Oscars, since there were actually video games that came out and people played them.
That is very true.
And there weren't as many movies that came out that people watched this year. So,
hey, Jake, there's something going on in March, though.
That's right. Utah Remote Con 2 is in March, and you guys won't want to miss that. We're going to have a ton of great panels. We'll be raising money for a good cause again. So we really appreciate your support during this time, but we want you to come back in March and support us as well. And we'll bring in some friends for that. So it won't just be us.
Bye, Tracy.
Oh, bye.
The football game must have started. It's all right. We understand. We love you, Tracy. We love you. That's how he lets me know that I've gone on too long.
Right.
All right, I'm just dropping off. Jake's gone. He's going to keep going. But anyway, lots of cool stuff coming up in 2021 for Stolendroids Network and our podcasts and our Utah Remote Con. Just it'll be awesome. So join us in 2021. Thanks for watching us today. Have a wonderful holiday season. A Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. Hopefully you had a great Hanukkah if you celebrate that. Whatever your flavor, we hope you had a great time.
Bye.
And Happy New Year as well. We'll see you all later.
See ya.